morning. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today as always. And today's topic is The Power is Within. We're continuing that and we will finish it, I don't know, soon, maybe. We're 77% of the ebook. Hit that like button and subscribe. And the weather today in St. Louis, Missouri is cloudy and cool. Fall is here and it feels like it now. I'm telling you. I don't like winter, but hey, it's part of life. So here we go. We were talking about regrets and what we should have done. But we can't change the past. You could shit all over yourself, but it doesn't change what you should have done. You can only change what you do today. So live a day that you don't have any regrets. All right, let's begin. I have allowed fear to stop me so many times. When I sit down to write, it is always right here beside me, telling me I'm crazy. What do you think you have to say that anyone will want to read? Or, you aren't going to have anything to write today. Or, no one knows who you are. Why would they care about what you write? But the most successful people use fear as a tool to move forward. Mark Twain said, "Do the thing you fear most, and the death of fear is certain." Eleanor Roosevelt recommended that everyone do one thing every day that scares you. I use fear like a guidepost. Whatever it is that I'm fearing, that must be the way. So off I go. I recommend starting with small things. Take an interaction with your significant other. You might find a polite way to tell your husband that you prefer he doesn't smoke in the house because it smells up the curtains and all of your clothes. Or maybe you tell your wife you'd rather her not use hairspray while you're in the bathroom because you don't want to cause a bunch of trouble, right? Take small steps into conquering fear the same way you are with applying faith. You'll find that some of your fears begin to go away. Others won't, and that's okay. The goal here isn't to get rid of fear, but rather to cultivate bravery or courage. Soon you'll be able to overcome things you never thought yourself capable of. And that is the only way to grow in courage, and you have to have courage to achieve the desire you have within your heart. It takes courage to get up and go to work every day, especially if you have a jerk boss. It takes courage to face life and all of life's challenges. I've known quite a few people that have been in jail. I've gone to jails and spoken there and tried to help people. In a way, they're happier there. I know you find it hard to believe because everything is controlled. There's nothing uncertain. They know what's going to happen every day. They're taken care of, they're fed, they have a home. Many times when they get out, they're so afraid because they have to go back to their family and they have to be responsible for taking care of the bills, the kids, and all the things that go with living this life here on this big blue ball or green ball. I guess it's kind of green and blue. So it's easier for them to be in jail. Yeah, hard to understand, but they become institutionalized. They feel safe there. Once you practice moving toward fear, you might take your next opportunity to revisit that list you made earlier of all the people who have hurt you, the people you resent, the people you have hurt, and your fears. How has this affected you? Has it lowered your self-esteem? Increased your guilt and shame? You may find yourself able to dive deeper now. You might even find yourself on that list. No doubt you are the number one offender. Learning to address the things you have done to yourself so that you can look in the mirror and love the person you see there is one of the most important obstacles to overcome. The reason loving yourself is so important is because you cannot transmit something you don't have. You must love yourself before you can love others. You must love what is within you before you can love what is in the world. The loveless only go looking for love, and they never find it. But the loving person doesn't have to look for love. It's everywhere. We become what we are, and we live in a world that's projected by our thoughts. You must first love yourself before you can see love in the world. And I'm not talking about the love like, oh, I love her so much. I'm talking about the love of your neighbor. You're driving down the road, the car's broke down. Of course, everybody's got phones now, but their car's broke down. You're in a hurry, you're busy, but it's a woman and her 2 kids, and she looks kind of frantic, so you stop to help her, okay? You change your tire, whatever. Even your neighbor that you don't like. You see him in trouble. Maybe you're going past his house and a tree fell on his house. You know what you do? You get the chainsaw out and you cut the tree out so he can get in and out of his house. You don't like the guy. You don't have to like him. Maybe you even feel like sometimes you hate him because he plays loud music at night. But you see him in distress and you stop and help him anyway. That's loving your neighbor as you love yourself. But first you have to love yourself. And when you do, you realize that by helping this neighbor, you're helping yourself, even though you don't like him. Someone said the other day, the greatest thing you can do turn an enemy into a friend. Yes, that would be difficult and challenging, but your enemies are your greatest teachers. They are the teacher, you're the student. Other times in life, you may be the teacher and he may be the student, whichever. There's always one or the other, and it goes back and forth. Many times during the day, I am the student. I have my sons working for me, and I teach them, of course, but they also teach me. You must continue to be teachable. The minute you think you know everything, you know nothing. The older I get, the less I know, because I realize there's so much to know. Sometimes people will say to me, well, Mark, I guess you know everything there is to know about painting. No, I don't. There are many things that I don't know, that I haven't done. So that's why I like what I do, because it's a different challenge all the time. We're starting on this big project down in St. Charles, and I'm using this certain type of stain. I've never done it before, but I'll do it. Do I have fear? Yes, I do, of course. It's the biggest job I've ever done, but we'll get it done and we'll do a good job because I have confidence in myself, and if I wasn't supposed to get the job, I wouldn't have it. So there you go. Okay, where are we? You must love what is within you before you can love what is in the world. All right, I'm repeating myself a little now, but in my experience, that's how we learn. We must hear things over and over again. Repetition, repetition. It's the same thing with experiences. We tend to make the same mistakes time and time again until we finally learn the lesson. If only we could learn from the mistakes of others. It rarely happens. Have you? If we did, the world would be full of never-erring geniuses. Of course, this has never been true. They teach us history in school, beating us over the head with that famous line, those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. And then we repeat it. We repeat the same wars, the same hatred, the same fears as we always have collectively and individually. But you can be a spreader of love. So write down all those things that bother you, little and big. You are not alone in this. People have had the same problems for millennia. And when I talk about love, as I said, I'm not talking about this, how they would say, mushy gushy, oh, I love you so much. I'm talking about the action of love. Many years ago, I was miserable. My life was a mess, not on the outside, but on the inside. I was a mess, and it was just a matter of time before it became a mess on the outside. And I reached out for help, and I found this group of people, and it was in January of 1991. And I went and spent some time with them, and after this little group had gotten together, 2 of these men stood outside with me in January. It was very cold, for a half an hour, 45 minutes. And they wanted to help me. They didn't have to, and they didn't want anything from me. They just wanted to help me. That was the first time I learned what love was. Now, my parents had loved me in a way that I didn't understand, which I can see now, but when I was young, I couldn't see it, and it took years for me to learn that they loved me the best they could. Not the way I wanted to be loved, or maybe even some of the ways I needed to be loved. But But then again, that was exactly how I was supposed to be loved, because it brought me to where I am today. Had I not been raised exactly how I was, I wouldn't be here sharing this with you today. But these two guys that night, on a cold January night, taught me that love is action. For me anyway, it's helping people. Helping people expecting nothing in return for that person, and it will come back to you multiplied many times over. Because at that time in my life, I had never helped anyone without an underlying motive. But those guys showed me an example of how to help people and not want anything back from them. And I started doing that. And through the years, it's come back to me many times over, multiplied. Now it's time to make a new list. A list of all the things weighing you down can tend to be a bit discouraging. So we're going to make a list that is more uplifting. Take out another piece of paper and write down your assets. Use this new list the same way you're using the first one. To remind yourself, as you grow, so should this list, telling you that the process is working. So many people skip this step. They don't want to reflect on the internal. They spend their lives only focusing on the mistakes of others, distracting themselves from the log in their own eye. Or they lose themselves to envy, not realizing all the wonderful things they already have. Everything you have today is something you wanted yesterday. Too many times we focus on what we want. If we could just have this. I want this, I want that. And you have so many things right before your very eyes, right in front of you, that you wanted at one time and you have now. Did that make you happy? No. The joy is in the journey. If you think when you earn this certain amount of money, or you get this house or this girl or this car or whatever, you're going to be happy, you are chasing a dream that is never going to come true. You must enjoy the journey. I think it's good. We all need to have goals. And everyone does have goals, although they might not realize it. The guy who gets high every night has a goal of getting high every night. The guy who gets drunk every weekend has a goal of getting drunk every weekend. The guy who scores with all the girls has a goal of scoring with a lot of girls. Maybe he has a number. But none of these things will make you happy. None of these things bring fulfillment. You must have worthy goals or ideals. And as you grow toward them, you realize that the joy is in the journey, not reaching the destination. It's good to have written goals. I have written goals. I see them twice a day, sometimes more, and I read them out loud. Less than 1% of the people have written goals. Write down your goals. It's not that hard. Take a look at them every day. Put them on a card in your billfold. See yourself. Think from the achievement of your goals, and bridges of circumstances will arise that will lead you to your goals. But back to the fear and courage. You have to have the courage to go the way your intuition tells you. You'll get these little nudges and hints of what you should do, and it won't make rational sense. But hey, if you could figure out the way, you wouldn't need help from a higher power, or God, or divinity, or the universe, or whatever name you choose to call, whatever you believe in. I choose to call him God sometimes, although maybe I should just say it, because I don't believe it's a he or she. I think it's a little bit more grand than that. I think we just try to describe a power and energy that is beyond our description with our limited vocabulary, but we do the best we can, okay? Hey, that's all we got time for today. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. Have a great day.